Bhadram karnevi shrunuyama deva Bhadram pashyem akshvir yajatra Sirai rangai tuštavamsas tanubhi Vyashema deva hitam yadayuhu Sastina indro urdhashrava Sastina pusha vishvaveda Sastina starksho arishtanemi Sastino brahaspatir dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last Wednesday, we started the study of Mandukya Upaniṣad of the Atharvaveda along with Gaudapada's Karikas and Shankar's commentary. Let me tell you that in the announcement, a Gita Press book has been recommended. I don't know, I have not seen that fully. 2 English translations are available. Very good English translations are available. The only problem is that the text of Shankar Bhashya, original Sanskrit, is not given in them. We find the Upanishad mantras, Gaudapada's Karikas, only Shankar Bhashya's words are not given. Excellent translations too, both published by the Advaita Ashram. One is by revered Swami Gambhirananda ji. It is exactly literal. The other is by Swami Nikhilananda ji. It is intuitional. It is much nearer the spirit of the Karikas. Both are excellent translations, so you can use any one of them. Now, last Wednesday I told you that the fundamental problem of all our life is the correction of consciousness. What is called jnana, knowledge, is not information or intellectual conviction even. It is what we know about ourselves and about the world. Loosely, sometimes we translate our idea, our thinking, our feeling, but much more fundamental is our knowledge or consciousness, what we are. When we think anything, who is thinking? A person who feels I am using. One who knows that I am a subject living in the midst of the world which is full of objects. So about myself, my knowledge, which is at the root of all my thinking, all my feeling, all my nishayas or resolutions, or all my ideas, is that I am basically a consciousness. I have consciousness at least, somehow associated with, bound by, limited by this individual body and mind. Now we saw last time that there is no definition of the individual body, no definition whatsoever, because it is ever changing. Which to call my body, we don't know. Similarly, my mind, which to call I as mind, we do not know. And we also saw that this I consciousness is shifting. Sometimes I am the body, sometimes my body. That means I am the indriyas working through the body. Sometimes I am the mind working with the help of indriyas, sitting in the body, working on the outside world. So, this I is false without referring to any Vedanta. On analysis, we find that this I is a wrong consciousness. And on the other count, we saw when we say the Rishi's consciousness, when we say what the Rishi knows, not as information, not as conviction, what is his basic awareness, and what Sri Ramakrishna knows is that there is only one consciousness throughout the world. And it is not divided into subject and object. It is one, don't call it integral. Integral means there are parts which are integrated. It is one without a second. And that appears as I Pitambarananda, I Nalini, I Akshay, I Sunil. And it is the reality not only of all eyes, but also of the objects which we call the world. And therefore, in that real consciousness, there is no split of subject and object. This is the constant awareness of the Mahapurushas or sages or rishis or avatars or Sri Ramakrishna. Think how much blessed that life is. Today I read one sentence by Swami Vivekananda. It was impossible for Sri Ramakrishna to see any evil anywhere. He saw only God within and without. So, in comparison with that, again we say our consciousness is wrong. And what we call knowledge in the Upanishads is changing our consciousness. In place of our consciousness, if we get the Rishi's consciousness, that is called gaining knowledge. And this knowledge is the subject matter of the Upanishads. We saw that the word Upanishad, Sat is the root of a verb having three meanings: to obtain or achieve, to destroy forever, and to loosen. That means to finish off. And this essentially refers to the knowledge, not to the book. But if the book is used solely for that purpose, then secondarily, that book also is called Upanishad. Upa means going near. That means making the knowledge near to us, absorbing, making it our own. We approach that knowledge through love and devotion, then only it becomes our own. And with firm resolve, nishchay, that I shall attain this knowledge, or resolve that this is the correct knowledge, not mine. And this has to be maintained steadfastly till I achieve that knowledge. So nishchay and nishtha represented by me. This is the meaning of the word Upanishad. That is what we saw last time. And the other name for this is Vedanta. Veda means knowledge, but all knowledge is not Vedas. That knowledge which is obtained by ordinary man's five senses and reasoning, hypothesis built upon that experience of the five senses is dealt with by physical sciences. Vedas have nothing to do with that. But if a man tries to go near God, he develops the subtler knowledge, direct knowledge, but subtle. It is much more direct than our seeing the world. It is the knowledge of subtle objects, subtle entities behind this gross world. Behind the gross eye, there is a subtle eye. And there are three aspects of that subtle knowledge. The main subtle knowledge is the knowledge of the consciousness associated with the gross world. And that is called Devata Jnana. Vedas basically means Devata Jnana. Vedas basically are what are called the Sangitas, which are nothing but the collection of praises of different gods. What are these gods? They are awareness of the cosmic principles. That is, there is fire in my kitchen, fire in your kitchen, fire in our stomach to digest the food, fire in the forest, fire in the ocean, and this is all one fire. And the fire is the physical form of it. There is a consciousness with this fire. And that we call as Agni Devata. So Agni Devata, Jala Devata, Vruksha Devata, Vana Devata, Vastu Devata, Gruha Devata, the king of gods, Indra. So this is the main part of Vedas. Now, due to selfishness present in man, man is basically selfish. Because the definition of man we have taken as consciousness associated with this body and mind. So if it is this body and mind, though undefined, so basically what it will lead to? Ego, selfishness, desire for enjoyment because I am a subject living in the objects called the world, and narrowness because it is associated with this limited body and mind. If there is something else in us, it is due to the presence of God in us. It is due to the presence of the universal principle in us. Now, if I have this individualism or selfishness, the result of my Devata Jnana is that, like small children begging continuously of their parents, because the parents have greater power, the parents have greater knowledge, and so the child says, give me this or give me that. Similar is our relation with these gods. Because we are individuals, they are cosmic, and so they have much more power, and they can give us. So we beg, please give me this and give me that. Now, nobody will give you something unless he extracts from you equivalent. And this developed what is called the karma kandas. Vedas basically have three parts. The Sangita part is the collection of praises of God, and the Brahmana part is the Vinyoga. That means if there are desires, then how to pray to get some result. So these mantras from the Vedas are put to use. That is called Vinyoga. That is in the Brahmana portion. And there is and this also is a Rishi's direct knowledge. It is not mathematics or it is not kalpana. It is not imagination. If you do this work, you will get this seven. So this is the second type of subtler knowledge in the Vedas. Then the power which we have developed due to trying to reach God has another knowledge. And that is the subtler entities behind the gross appearances. While we defined the gross appearances, we said 5 senses of ordinary man. But all men are not ordinary. And so when the power to perceive subtler knowledge directly is gained, we see the subtler elements behind which combine to make the gross elements. We see the function, we see not the functioning, we see our organs, we see our mind. When we proceed, we see our eye consciousness. And that eye consciousness also changes. Last Wednesday, I gave you the example of a small baby girl and a big grown-up man. Her consciousness, when she becomes young or old, will be very different about herself. So, this is the third type of subtler knowledge. Now, there is comparatively less or more selfishness in man. If the function of the universal is more, we see people, they die for unselfishness, they like, they love, they attach to unselfishness, and devotion. They feel attraction or love for God, the supreme ruler, or even for these gods. So when that is our mind, the prayers have come out. Prayers are descriptions. Oh God, fire. Oh fire God, you are this, you are that, you are this, you are that. You are all powerful. You may give me this or that, is suppressed there. It is not functioning. Now this love for God has a power to lift our consciousness. And there is a sentence in the Leela Prasanga, the Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, about Mathur Babu. His buddhi purified by devotion, he could understand more things. So, our level of knowledge is lifted. And the final point reached is called Vedanta, the Upanishads. What is the final point? So long as I was worshipper of gods, they were different, I was different. But when the final point is reached, there is one consciousness alone in the world, then my I consciousness cannot remain separate. So we may say, I am also same, or I am not there, he alone is there. That is the first difference, jump difference. Second point is, we saw devatas are consciousness associated with matter. But when the highest point is reached, there is no matter at all. We become aware that he or she or it is the name given in our Upanishads to that reality, because there is no male, female or subject, object there, that it has a nature of appearing through names and forms into infinite varieties. When we look at the world, we are not aware of ourselves as consciousness. It is very, very difficult and deep to be aware of ourselves as consciousness. Similarly, in the world, we are not aware of Brahman. We are not aware of the consciousness. We are aware of names and forms. So awareness of names and forms without the awareness of consciousness is what we call physical matter. When we become aware of consciousness, even the Devata Jnana matter is there. But when we become aware of one consciousness, we see that that very one consciousness appears through names and forms as the whole world. So there is no matter at all. So these two big jumps happen when our consciousness changes into the real consciousness. This is Vedanta or Upanishads. The end means the climax or the highest point of Vedas, which is called Devata Jnana basically. Vedas, which is called subtler knowledge, the highest point reached is one without a second. And that only has the capacity to give a sense to our life, to make our life have a sense of fulfillment. Nothing else of the world can give fulfillment to our life. So today, we have to think of, I told last Wednesday, that we have to think of 4 essentials when we study any spiritual treatise. And last time I told in simple English, who we are, we must know. For whom is this Upanishad or Vedanta? Who can receive it? Not all at all. Unless we have felt ourselves as consciousness, individual, we cannot be aware of this higher consciousness. So who we are, who is going to benefit by this study? In the Vedantic terminology, it is called adhikari. The man who, adhikari does not mean right. Adhikari means he has the capacity to understand Vedas and to get benefit from Vedas and to go to the topmost with the help of that Vedanta. So adhikari in simple English language is who. Let us deal with this who. This again, traditionally, uhapo, vichakshana and all that is not essential. It may help us. Viveka, that means capacity to discriminate rationally what we really are and what we are really not, what the world is really is and what it is not, to be able to rationally discriminate. This is traditionally first point in adhikar. Second point in traditional adhikar is vairagya. I won't translate Vairagya as renunciation. Renunciation is the equivalent of Tyaga. It is a spirit of dispassion. We have a passion. So long as we are in the world, they are saying we are 6 passions. We are infinite passions. The desire for objects, the anger, the jealousy, the intoxication of ego, and more greed. So, opposite of this is dispassion. Dispassion. In this respect, though little digression from our subject, but as it is important, let me tell you, one book which goes in the name of Shankaracharya is not by Shankaracharya, though Mission has published Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha can be proved that it is not by Shankaracharya. The Guru Pranam in the beginning, with great torturing this and that, it is made us go in the path. It is not that written. And statements such as, what is Vairagya? Not interest in the spirit, worldly objects. A flat definitions are given in that book. While all Shankaracharya's books have the force of lifting our mind. Anyway, so traditionally, dispassion. I will describe to you dispassion by an example. You are hungry and the best cooked food is in front of you. You naturally have a drag to eat it. And at that time, somebody says there is poison in that food. Then where there will be tendency to eat it? There will be tendency to throw it or to run away from that. Another example given is that at that time, suppose accidentally you swallow a fly. Then the tendency will be to vomit, not to eat. Opposite of that. So that is Vairagya. When traditionally this is taken as the second point of adhikar, or who can benefit by this. And the third point consists of 6 essential practices. Shama, that means such a man will start this adhikara is not a place. Adhikara is the direction of the mind. So he'll start controlling his mind because he knows mind is disturbing. Shama. He will start controlling his body and the indriyas because they lead him astray. Dhamma. And if he has been able to withdraw, he will see that they do not go out again. That is called Uparati. Uparati has another meaning also. Give up the life in the world and become a sannyasi. That is also called Uparati. And Titiksha. This world is full of opposites. If there is heat, there is cold. If there is praise, there is blame. If there is honor, there is dishonor. If there is pleasure, there is pain. That is the very nature of this world. Why so, if you ask me? Because the world consists of shadows, and this is going to happen in the shadows. Now I am tempted to tell something more. That is, don't think that for your good qualities people will praise you and for your bad qualities they will criticize you. No, no, no. For the same qualities, some people will praise you, some people will blame you. That is the nature of the world. For example, you are a sannyasi, so you don't talk to people, you don't mix with people. You try to live with God. They will say this is the ideal sannyasi. Others will say he's unsocial. He can't talk with people. He has no feelings for people. What a sadhu is. Okay, you are of the opposite type. You mix with people, socialize, love them. So some people say he is a real sadhu. Some people say he is a bhogi, only enjoying. Where will you go? If I tell you something from my life, I'm tempted to that. I was in Ramakrishna Mission Students' Home at Chennai for 10 years. Now, the annual function has a part. Annual function goes on for 2-3 days. That is old boys versus present boys, cricket, hockey, so many things. And then competitions throughout the year. That is one day. Second day, one is business meeting of the old students. How to have more finances, who is secretary and all that. After that, there is a public meeting. Now, public meeting of a branch center of Ramakrishna Mission. So you expect some spiritual talk. A chief guest is invited. There is some president. And I was asked to conduct this meeting. Till then, I never knew that conducting the meeting also is something. And the agenda was fixed to be finished in 1 hour exactly. After that, there is prayer, then big feast, annual feast. Now, business meeting was already over. This is a public meeting. But as I started, one of the assistant secretaries, I was one, householder, old student, with the sanction of the secretary, my friend and boss, started bringing some list to me. Those who have created or added to their endowments this year, their list should be read, which was not in the agenda. I did not say no. All right, I will read them. Donors who have donated 10,000 or more, that list should be read. All right, I will read that. Now, I thought, is this a meeting of the Ramakrishna Mission? Money, money and money. So to change the atmosphere, I was the warden and assistant secretary. So we have our trump cards. The junior boys were playing on the ground. I shouted, Ravi Chandran. Where is Ravi? Where is Ravi? Somebody went, he was in this sports dress, they pulled him there. Ravi, you please sing a song on Holy Mother. That was a trump card. And when he sang without any preparation or anything, people had tears in their eyes. So I thought I have changed the atmosphere. Meeting was over. After the meeting, old boys, old boys means old, 80, 90 years, big managers, big that. They came to me and said, today meeting was conducted wonderfully. Then I understood that there is something called conducting the meeting. and I have succeeded in that. Immediately a thought came to my mind that flowers are being showered on my head, some brick bat is essentially will come. Now, next Sunday, we have a review meeting. We sit with our staff, volunteers, what went wrong or what could be improved, like that, review meeting. And there the same assistant secretary, with perhaps the knowledge of the secretary. Warden Swamiji delayed the meeting because he wanted to show the talent of his student. So brickbat came from house itself. Anyway, this is the world. Anyway, I said that there was no need for me to show the talent of my boy. But I wanted to change the atmosphere, and these were not in the agenda, and why I was asked to read them? Could I have said no? Anyway, after the meeting, most of the staff people told me, Maharaj, meeting was really well. Anyway, but that brickbat came from within the house. Anyway, so this is the world, nature. One must understand this. And why we should understand this? If this praise and blame moves us, we cannot proceed towards God. And so, titiksha, being unaffected by the dual throng in the world, is taken traditionally as one more essential to be earned. At least mine should be in that direction. And then samadhan. Now samadhan has two meanings. Samadhan is normally taken as contentment. If that meaning is taken, we should be content with what the world has given us. But we should never be content with what we are. Otherwise, no improvement will take place. You know, I'm not telling the whole story. But Socrates has said in Plato's words, a Socrates dissatisfied is better than a pig satisfied. But the real meaning of samadhan is not contentment. Real meaning of samadhan, rightly keeping. And rightly keeping means it should be equilibrium. Na? If I keep the book like this, it will fall down. If I keep like this, it will not fall down. But if I keep like this, it will fall down. So there is stable equilibrium and unstable equilibrium. Now, mind can rest in God alone. No other place mind will be in equilibrium, no other place. For some time, then it will jump out. So, samadhan means practice of keeping the mind in God. When we say God, we mean the personal God, Sagun Brahma, mind is working. We shall come to that later. So this is the fifth of the 6 elements. And then Shraddha. Shraddha is not believing in everything. The meaning of Shraddha is, I do not see God. I do not see the gods. I do not see anything of transcendental nature. I do not see the subtle entities, but the rishis do see. And not only the rishis see and I have to believe. No. That is not Shraddha. Rishis see, and they teach me how to see. So if I follow their teaching, I shall see. So let me try. All this is included in the word Shraddha. I do not see. The Rishis say, Rishis tell me how, what to practice, how to do so that I can see. So let me see. This whole thing is called Shraddha. Shankara has defined it. Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satyabuddhya Avadharanam Sa Shraddha Katita Sadvi Yaya Vastu Upalabhyate. I will give a physical example. A man is drowning in water. Man does not drown in water, but he is afraid that he is drowning in water. People outside the water, and he is shouting. People outside the water, they take a stout rope or a big chain. They tie it to something on the bank and throw that other end. So the man gets some hope. He up and down and he catches the end. As soon as he catches the end, people say, saved, saved. He is not saved. If he leaves it, he will drown. If he does not pull, he will down. But he has got the point now. If he pulls, he will come to the Sa Yaya Vastu Upalabhyate. Understood? If you want to know Shraddha more dynamically, more livingly, Kathopanishad, Nachiketa's whole life is Shraddha. Anyway, so these 6, Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha are a set of 6 qualities where the man's direction should go at least. Some people will have less degree, some people have more degree. And the 4th thing, this is counted as the 3rd. 4th thing is mumuksha, the intense desire to be free from the bondages of the world. Traditionally, let me tell you, these are taken as the fitness or the capacity to benefit from Vedanta, benefit from any spiritual treatise. But let me tell you 2 more things. All Upanishads are not for the same man. Some Upanishads require a higher standpoint to start. So, if we are studying Mandukya Upanishad, we require 2, 3 more things. Maximum unselfishness. Without that, we cannot appreciate Mandukya Upanishad. At the first step, it asks us to lose our individuality and become cosmic. Ordinary man shudders at it. Even he may have all this. And Vairagya should be intense. High degree of Vairagya. Then only he can come out and follow the Mandukya Upanishad. Now to supplement last Wednesday's class, I told you why it is called Mandukya Upanishad. Some people question me, where did you get this? Let me define again. Some Puranas or some people imagined that there was a rishi named Mandukya. No, absolutely not. Puranas are expert in imagining from words. anything is foisted upon anything, that is Puranas. I told you that it can be explained only from Sri Ramakrishna's experiences. He says that there is a power called Kundalini, and when it reaches from the bottom where it normally resides to the Sahasrara center in the brain or in the head where Paramatman resides, then we get released, we get full knowledge. And this motion is of various types. He has experienced that. And it is mentioned in many books of Vedanta other than the Upanishads. Pipilika Gati, ant-like motion, serpent-like motion, that is the most common, birds-like motion, monkey-like motion, and frog-like motion. A frog wants to go to some place, aim. He jumps with all his power. And when he reaches a spot, he understands he has not reached the goal. And he also understands that he still has power. So another jump, another jump, another jump. And in this, evident, once you see the Mandukya Upanishad, in the second mantra it is said, Soyam ātman chatushpat. That ātman, which is Brahman, is to be realized. We shall help you to realize that in 4 steps. So, what we call monkey in one jump. Huh? So, what we call the hop. Frog hops. So, in 4 hops, you can reach the realization. 3 steps, 4th goal. First step, individuality is lost and you become cosmic in the gross sense. Second step, that grossness is lost and you are cosmic. Now you are not going to come back to individual. You are cosmic in the subtle sense. Same variety is there in the subtle. Third step, cosmic with the seed form of the universe. Fourth step is the goal. That means you find that you are the same in these 3. So you are not one of these 3. You are within these 3 and yet separate from these 3. That is the 4th step. So in 4 steps, the Mandukya makes us reach goal. So how much intensity we should have of that vairagya and unselfishness? And let me exemplify this by something in the world. There is something called tender coconut. There you cannot take out the pulp. It is all water. Some pulp is there sticking. Then it dries up. It becomes watery coconut. We cannot take out the plum. Then it dries further. It becomes the dry coconut. You can sound it. It is moving inside. The aim is to get at the pulp. But when you reach the dry coconut, you can heat it, break it, and get the pulp. That is like the 4th step. Okay? But I am going to define this sadhaka, the fitness, in a totally different way. Totally different way. Which can be understood without any of these technical terms. Swami Vivekananda has given an example. A tiny small ant is crawling on the rails. And a big engine, very powerful, is coming on the track. What happens? The small ant crawls down to safety, not the engine. So what is the difference? What is the difference? Some boys told me the ant fears. Fears is secondary. The ant is conscious that I am a being. Engine is not conscious. And what type of consciousness? I consciousness. We call it ant. We do not know what the ant calls itself. But I am a living being. I have to live. So it crawls down to safety. Engine is not aware of that. Any robot or anything, computer, artificial intelligence, but it does not have I consciousness. So we are taking the whole world, physical things and life. Life is secondary, I consciousness. Now we deliberately chose an ant because it is very small compared to the big dynamic engine. Now take it, the biggest of that species, elephant by size, lion by power, on one side. On the other side, man. What is the difference? Animals do not try to improve. They do not struggle. For centuries, we do not know when the world came in it. The elephant is the same elephant. Cow is the same cow. Again, in Swami Vivekananda's language, we have not seen a cow telling lies. We have not seen a tree stealing things. And yet they are cow and they are tree. Man commits sins, but man has the capacity to become God. So what is the difference? They know, because I consciousness, they know where to live and they struggle for life. Man has two more things than them. One dependent on the other. He struggles to improve. Again, Swami Vivekananda's words, a man is man so long as he struggles to rise above nature. And this nature is both external and internal. So this differentiates man from an animal. But one more question comes to mind. Why does he struggle? Because in him there is an awareness that I am imperfect. I am incomplete. I am imperfect. That makes him struggle. So these are the two differences from animal. Man wants to improve. If he does not struggle for improvement, according to Swamiji's definition, he is not a man at all. And if he has completed, then also he is not a man, he is God. So man is aware of imperfection, incompleteness. Some devotee told me, I don't feel incompleteness. Then I said, why did you marry? When people ask us why you did not marry, I put the counter question, why did you marry? Society told me, there no meaning, no meaning. Why? You have no answer? Upanishads have given that answer. A man feels he is half. Woman feels she is half, but with a polarity. I am not saying who is more or less, but like chemistry, hydrogen, it has one electron in the orbit, which can contain 8. Chlorine has 7 electrons in the orbit. So when they come together, they join. The proton joins with the other proton, and the nuclear has 8 electrons. So we call it plus or minus. Man is half plus, woman is half minus. They think if we combine, we will become complete. That's why they marry. And who becomes complete? Nobody. But a continuous tension is gone. So in that state, if the man tries to become Purnam, if the woman tries to become Purnam, it is easier for them. Now another example. Because I am incomplete, I want to earn money. Because I am incomplete, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. So all our struggle is based upon the fundamental fact that I am incomplete. Let me be educated. I am incomplete. My knowledge is incomplete. Let me get educated. Let me make air-conditioned buildings. Animals are wiser because man makes air-conditioned zoos for them. Anyway, now this is man. Now, because man is fundamentally nothing but Brahman, we have seen just now. There is an evolution. And at some point of evolution, what happens? He understands by changing the whole world, he will never become complete. By changing the quality of life as it is called, he will never become complete. There were black and white TVs. Radios were given to villages. Then TVs were given. Then colored TVs were given. We say they are improving the quality of life. They are improving the quality of their enjoyment. So by evolution, man comes to that Wednesday I told the stories, how young boys and girls are becoming aware that they are dealing with shadows. And that is called the awakening. I also told you that the parents, the peer, the medias, they try to suppress that awakening. But man by evolution comes to understand that if he changes himself, he will reach the perfection. And this change again, as we already dealt, is change in the consciousness. From an unreal, false consciousness about ourselves and the world, if his consciousness changes into sage's consciousness, Avatar's consciousness, one consciousness throughout the world, no matter, then his life becomes fulfilled, not otherwise. This is the subject matter of the Upanishads. How to change today's consciousness into the real consciousness. Anyway, we are jumping into next. That means subject matter. Now, to require this, to be able to change our consciousness, we require two more things. Our mind's habits should be changed. Our mind, habits, thinking, feeling, will, everything, imagination, is for centuries or from time immemorial, is based upon our wrong knowledge that I am a subject living in objects. So unless we change our mind, we cannot come to grips with our consciousness and change it. In the 13th chapter of the Gita, Shlokas 7 to 11, 20 qualities of the mind are told. And then the Lord says, Etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadato anyata. Shankar says they are auxiliary means, but God has called them knowledge. We are not going to know an object. We are going to know Brahman, which means Brahman will be revealed in our mind. So we have to change the mind. So that also is necessary. And we have to begin with the body. Our physical habits are different, based upon the same ignorance that I am an individual. So change of physical and mental functions, and finally change of consciousness. And this is dealt with in detail in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Upanishads, that we have already changed, our physical and mental habits is taken for granted, and how to change our consciousness is that. And that is why Upanishads are difficult to read. People say when we read the Gita, we understand something. We read the Upanishads, we don't understand anything. Upanishads are to be heard, not read. Anyway, so today, so this is called adhikar. The fitness is that we are all sadhakas. A sadhak dealing with sadhakas. Together, let us find out with the help of the rishis what to change in our physical habits and how to change, what to change in our mental habits and how to change, and how to change our consciousness. That is the who, for whom such a person will benefit. This is the adhikar in a very different approach. So we have dealt with the difference between jiva and ajiva. We have dealt with the difference between animal and man. We have now differentiated man with another type of man called sadhak. And this sadhak is the fit person. Let us hope we will first become sadhaks to understand the Mandukya Upaniṣad. And we touched a little on this subject. But next Wednesday, let us go slowly. So 2 more things, 3 more things. Prayojan, we are dealt with in between, but we have to deal separately. Why we are reading, what we are reading, and how to read. This we shall take up on the next Wednesday. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyem Akshabhirejatra Stirai Rangai Stushtvamsas Tanubi Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starksho Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.